Do you ever get those notices from like your car loan company or your credit card and they say, hey, by the way, your privacy or your information is out running around wildly on the dark web? Well, hopefully it's not that bad. And you get them and you go like, what am I going to do about that? What am I going to do? Call and complain and say, how could you do that? Go fix it? I mean, really, I just toss them because, what are you going to do? Well, if you're buying or selling a home, there are some precautions you can take to try to keep your information private as much as you possibly can. And I'm going to go over those tips today. Hi, I'm Michele Replogle with Compass. And I was thinking about this. I had a listing in August. This poor gal, we were trying really hard to sell her condo down in Aptos, cute little place. And we just hit a point in the market where it just wasn't really happening. We were getting some showings. People were coming to the open houses. So I said, hey, why don't we put up a sign? And, on the sign, I can put, open house and, all the stuff. I even put like a flyer on the sign and you could scan the QR code and learn a little bit about the property. Well, people saw the sign and they went and knocked on this woman's door and wanted a showing. And I was just horrified. Poor thing. I ended up taking everything down and told her I was so sorry. I thought we were doing, promotion for her property. All I did was give people the idea that they could just walk up to her door and ask for a tour. It was the craziest thing. Seriously, never had anything like it. But when you are buying or selling, there are things you can do. So let's just start with the sign, for example. So I took that sign down. When you are selling your home with your agent, if you are living there, you really want to map out a plan to try to keep as much privacy and sanity as you can when you're selling your home. And that might be no sign or a sign with a rider on the bottom that says, do not disturb occupants. That's one that works really well. It's really effective because when the public sees that, they don't know who's living there. They don't know if it's a seller or a tenant or somebody who's really not very friendly. So I recommend that if you're concerned. The other thing is a lockbox. A lockbox has a key in there that an agent needs with their phone to open it. But if you don't have the lockbox on the front door, maybe around the side of the house, or a lockbox that the seller actually sets out on the front porch before a showing is also a way to limit access and, of course, privacy. I had a agent. She's not in the business anymore. She's gone. But she went to one of my listings. It was appointment only. She went ahead and used the lockbox, went inside. This poor woman was taking a shower. I was horrified. So, of course, after that, we put the lockbox inside and it had to be set out for appointment only. Have you ever had an experience like this, buying or selling, or involved in a transaction like this and somebody did something horrific like this? Put it in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. But the lessons are, be careful with the sign, be careful with the lockbox, have a mapped out plan. When you are at the listing table with your agent, say, what are you going to do to promote my property? And on the other hand, if it's a concern, what are you going to do to help me preserve my privacy? Remember, if your house is for sale, I am not sitting out 24/7 like an all-night surveillance, making sure nobody comes to your property. Of course, I want to get people to come to your property, but I can't protect from people. I just can't protect anybody from the craziness that goes on in real estate, but boy, do I try. And one of the ways is no sign, hidden or out of the way lockbox. That's a couple things you can do. Are you a buyer? You're just starting the process? You don't give personal information to your agent. Your agent doesn't need it. They don't need your social security number. They don't need your bank account numbers. They don't need any of that. And if they're asking for it, I would really be serious investigation into that agent, why they need that information. If you're sending me your proof of funds for you to make an offer, black out that account number. Now, if you don't have a way to do that, one of the ways I do recommend is printing out that proof of funds at your house, blacking out the account number, and then taking a picture of it and sending it to your agent. My point is for this video is always going to be having a plan for privacy, but also taking out any middlemen or people in the middle. So if the escrow company needs information about your loan, you call them directly. Buyer, do you have information you need to talk to the escrow company about your purchase, your social security number, any of your personal information? Call the escrow company. Do not give it to your agent, because that's one more place your information is and can be compromised. I cannot tell you my internet is secure. I don't know. So what I try to do is just keep as much of that information basically off my computer as possible. Buyer, when your home is sold, keep in mind the recorder publishes that information. It's public information of who bought a property and the address. So if you do not want that to happen, what I recommend is that you have a talk with the escrow company when you are purchasing and say, I don't want this information published. They will tell you how to prevent the information being published. It may require that you go to the county, the county recorder's office yourself and actually say, hey, I don't want this information to be public. Lastly, I get asked a lot about neighbors coming to open houses, and sellers don't want the neighbors to know their personal information. And I get it. I'm not very close with my neighbors. I would probably tell them I was moving and I was selling just because I would want a sign and I'd want, the open houses and all that sort of stuff. But if you don't want any of that, if you don't want a sign, I still recommend open houses. They're hugely effective and buyers are still going to them. That's one of their points of contact to make sure they understand the house, not just seeing it with their agent. You cannot have a sign. You can have short open houses. That makes it harder for the neighbors to access the property. But what I recommend is if you want your information to be private, have a talk with the agent who's holding the house open, or me, the listing agent, and say, the information that I want is we're moving to be closer to family. We're downsizing. The very generic information about the sale is very, very common, and I recommend that. So have a plan about the sign, open house signs, where the lockbox will be. All these are steps that you can take to try to hang on to some of your privacy. I understand it's really very hard. There are eyeballs everywhere and everybody seems to have everybody's information, but you can certainly try. So what I recommend is mapping it out. Please like, subscribe, and share if any of this information was helpful for you. And then of course, comment if you've ever had any privacy concerns and how did you what did you do? I would love to hear about it. Talk to you soon. Bye.